Welcome to my Facts 100. Climate change is an urgent and complex issue that affects every corner of our planet. In this comprehensive exploration, we will uncover 25 shocking and essential climate change facts, each accompanied by figures and statistics. These facts highlight the gravity of the situation, providing a stark reminder of the need for global action to combat climate change. Here are the facts. 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. The Paris Agreement, a global effort to combat climate change, aims to limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, with a preferred goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius. As of now, we have already reached an alarming 1.2 degrees Celsius of warming. 2 degrees Celsius danger zone. Exceeding the 2 degrees Celsius mark could trigger a cascade of catastrophic consequences, including more frequent and severe heat waves, floods, droughts, and food shortages. It represents a point of no return for many climate impacts. Current emissions. In 2020, the world emitted approximately 51 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide, CO2, into the atmosphere, largely from the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation. Carbon budget. To limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, we can only emit an additional 500 billion metric tons of CO2. At the current rate, we will exhaust this budget in less than a decade, pushing us past the point of no return. Methane's potency. Methane, primarily released from agriculture and fossil fuel production, is over 25 times more effective at trapping heat in the atmosphere than CO2 over a 100-year period, making it a potent short-term greenhouse gas. 1% emitter versus 50% emitter. The top 1% of global emitters are responsible for emitting over twice the emissions of the poorest 50% of the global population, highlighting the vast inequality in emissions. Cost of inaction. Failing to address climate change could cost the global economy an estimated $360 billion annually by 2030 and a staggering $2.7 trillion by 2100, resulting from climate-related damages and adaptation expenses. Sea level rise projection. Projections indicate that global sea levels could rise up to 3 feet, 1 meter, by 2100. In some low-lying regions, this increase could be as much as 6 feet, 2 meters, posing a severe threat to coastal communities. Ice-free Arctic summers. Scientists predict that the Arctic could experience ice-free summers by 2035, marking a profound shift in the region's ecosystems and climate patterns. Loss of the Amazon. Climate change could disrupt the Amazon rainforest's role as a carbon sink, turning it into a carbon source, further exacerbating global warming. Ocean heat. The world's oceans act as a heat sink, absorbing 90% of the excess heat generated by greenhouse gas emissions. This results in rising sea temperatures, coral bleaching, and the disruption of ocean ecosystems. Global hunger. Climate change has the potential to push an additional 130 million people into extreme poverty by 2030. It also threatens food security by causing crop failures and food price hikes. Emissions from deforestation. Deforestation accounts for approximately 11% of global greenhouse gas emissions. The destruction of forests contributes significantly to climate change by releasing stored carbon and reducing the Earth's capacity to absorb CO2. Health consequences. Climate change exacerbates health issues, leading to more heat-related illnesses, diseases from contaminated water, and the spread of infectious diseases. This imposes a significant burden on healthcare systems. Renewable energy potential. The world has the potential to generate 100 times the current global electricity demand from solar and wind energy sources. Transitioning to renewables is essential for reducing emissions. Arctic temperature rise. The Arctic is warming at more than twice the global average rate, leading to rapid ice melt and disruptions in the region's ecosystems. The consequences ripple globally through altered weather patterns. Global youth activism. The global youth climate movement, inspired by figures like Greta Thunberg, is demanding immediate and substantial climate action from world leaders. This grassroots movement has raised awareness and pressure for change. Effects on biodiversity. Climate change poses a grave threat to biodiversity. It is estimated that up to 1 million plant and animal species could face extinction in the coming decades, impacting ecosystems and the services they provide. Increasing hurricanes. Over the past 4 decades, the frequency of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes has doubled. These intense hurricanes cause greater destruction and loss of life in affected regions. Cost of climate adaptation. Adapting to the impacts of climate change could cost the world an estimated $140 to $300 billion annually by 2030 and $280 to $500 billion annually by 2050. These expenses cover efforts to protect communities from rising sea levels, extreme weather, and other climate-related challenges. Fossil fuel subsidies. Governments worldwide continue to provide over $5 trillion in fossil fuel subsidies each year, perpetuating the use of carbon-intensive energy sources despite the urgent need to transition to cleaner alternatives. Loss of glaciers. Mountain glaciers, crucial sources of freshwater for billions of people, have lost over 9,000 billion metric tons of ice since 1961. The rapid melt threatens freshwater availability and ecosystems. Inadequate pledges. The pledges made by countries in the Paris Agreement are currently insufficient to limit global warming to 2 degrees Celsius, let alone the more ambitious target of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Additional commitments are urgently needed. Healthcare costs. The health costs associated with climate change, including the treatment of heat-related illnesses, air pollution-related diseases, and vector-borne diseases, could reach $4 billion per year in the United States alone by 2030. Global community. Tackling climate change requires global cooperation, commitment, and shared responsibility. The world's nations must unite in transitioning to a sustainable, low-carbon future. Suggestion. To address climate change effectively. Advocate for strong climate policies and support leaders who prioritize climate action. Reduce your carbon footprint by using energy-efficient appliances, reducing meat consumption, and using public transportation or carpooling. Support renewable energy sources and advocate for clean energy policies. Raise awareness about climate change in your community and engage in activism or advocacy. Make sustainable choices in your daily life, such as reducing plastic waste, conserving water, and supporting environmentally responsible companies. Conclusion. Climate change is a global crisis that affects every living being on our planet. The facts and figures presented here underscore the urgent need for comprehensive action to combat climate change. The responsibility to act rests with all of us, as individuals, communities, and governments. By taking meaningful steps, we can mitigate the impacts of climate change and work towards a sustainable, resilient future. The well-being of our planet and future generations depends on the choices we make today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my Facts 100 for more videos. And also share your thoughts about climate change facts in the comment box.